Let's begin with an official version of the story. The safe version, the agreed version, the version that appears in textbooks. The Library of Alexandria was one of the greatest centres of learning in the ancient world. It housed hundreds of thousands of scrolls, science, philosophy, medicine, astronomy, mathematics. And then it was destroyed, burned by war, erased by time, lost to history. A tragic accident, an unfortunate casualty of progress. And that's where the story usually ends. According to the official narrative, the destruction happened in stages. First, Julius Caesar, 48 BCE, a fire during his siege of Alexandria spreads to nearby warehouses containing scrolls. Later, Roman decrees, pagan temples dismantled as Christianity rises. The Serapeum, an annex of the library, also destroyed. Then centuries of neglect, floods, humidity, earthquakes. Eventually the knowledge fades away. No grand conspiracy, no hidden hands, just time, chaos, and human error. A comforting explanation. But here's where the cracks begin to appear. Historians don't agree. Not on when it was destroyed, not even on how, not even on which building was destroyed. Different centuries, different causes, different accounts. That's the first red flag. Because when something truly disappears in a single event, history tends to remember it clearly. The fall of Rome, the eruption of Pompeii, for example. But the library, blurred, fragmented, uncertain, almost convenient. Here's what rarely gets mentioned. The Library of Alexandria was not a single building, it was a network. The museum, the Great Library, the Serapeum, private scholar collections, copy houses across the city. Scrolls were duplicated constantly, scholars travelled, text was sent abroad. To believe all of this vanished completely is like believing the internet could disappear overnight. Possible, maybe. Probable, no. So here's the question historians avoid. If the library truly contained the sum of ancient human knowledge, why do we still have so much ancient knowledge today? Why do Aristotle, Euclid, Hippocrates, Galen, and others survive? Why does advanced mathematics suddenly reappear centuries later? Why does astronomy leap forward instead of starting from scratch? Because something survived, and once you accept that, another question emerges. Who decided what survived and what didn't? Now let's entertain a different version of events, not the official one, not the comfortable one. What if the library wasn't destroyed? What if it was made to look like it was destroyed? What if the fires, the riots, the dismantling of temples were the perfect cover for something else? A transfer. A quiet relocation of dangerous knowledge. Because destruction creates grief, but relocation creates power. Let's be very clear, not all knowledge threatens power, but some absolutely does. Knowledge that removes the need for priests, explains belief psychologically, describes moral systems without gods, reveals political manipulation, shows cycles of empires rising and collapsing, placing humans not at the centre of the universe. All of those at that time were dangerous. And this isn't fantasy, this is exactly the kind of thing ancient philosophers were already engaging in. And it's exactly the kind of thinking that undermines authority. As pagan institutions declined, Christianity rose. Temples were closed, schools dismantled, libraries absorbed. But knowledge didn't vanish, it moved into monasteries, into the hands of the church, into institutions that understood something deeply, controlled the story, and you control reality. Over centuries, this knowledge consolidated into one place, the Vatican. Today, the Vatican Apostolic Archive contains over 85 kilometres of shelving, documents dating back nearly 2,000 years, texts in ancient languages few can read, restricted access even for scholars. The Church says there's nothing extraordinary inside, just administrative records. But here's the problem. If there's nothing extraordinary, why the secrecy? Why the restrictions? Why the silence? This isn't just about the Vatican specifically. This is about a universal truth. Knowledge has always been power. Kings ruled by controlling information. Empires rose by controlling narratives. Religions spread by controlling meaning. The Library of Alexandria wasn't dangerous because it had books. It was dangerous because it made people independent thinkers. And independence has always been a threat. Now bring this forward. Who controls knowledge today? Search engines that put certain results at the top, even if you searched for something different. Algorithms, institutions, media narratives. What gets promoted? What gets buried? What gets labelled misinformation? The methods have changed. The principle hasn't. The Library of Alexandria didn't disappear. It evolved. So maybe the greatest lie isn't that the library was destroyed. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But maybe the lie is that the knowledge was never meant to be free. Maybe it's always been curated, filtered, locked behind authority. And maybe the Vatican isn't hiding ancient scrolls. Maybe modern systems are doing the same thing, just more quietly. The tragedy of Alexandria wasn't fire, it was fear. Fear of what humans become when they think for themselves. Fear of a world where truth doesn't require permission. So ask yourself, what knowledge feels forbidden to question? What truths feel dangerous to explore? What ideas are you discouraged from examining? That's where the real library burns. And the question isn't whether the past hid knowledge. The question is whether you're willing to go looking for it now.